To the Pick and Pay Winemakers Table. Very special evening today. I hope everyone's got all of their goodies that have been delivered. Thank you very much, obviously, to Pick and Pay Wine Club, and thank you very much to the Pick and Pay online team who've delivered those fabulous bottles of wine over to your houses, as well as all of the goodies that we're going to be making, some incredible canapes. Very special evening. I'm here with Vernon from Anthonij Rupert. We're going to have a fantastic evening. I see some incredible wines here. We've got bubblies, we've got Sauvignon Blancs, we've got the Optima, which I'm very, very excited to chat to you about. This man is the custodian for the last, 12 years at Anthonij Rupert.
That's right.
So very, very good set of knowledge. We're going to teach you, obviously, a little bit more about the wines of Anthonij Rupert, as well as, obviously, getting you guys to make 3 incredible canapes. So welcome. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for having us.
Fantastic.
Really a pleasure. So
good stuff. Cool. And yeah, would you like to explain a little bit more about Anthonij Rupert, the farm, a little bit maybe about the wines we're going to taste? And also, you seem to have got a huge amount of different wines in the portfolio as well.
Perfect. Will do. So my name's Vernon van der Hoven, and as mentioned, I'm one of the winemakers at Anthonij Rupert Wines, and I do most of the reds at Anthonij Rupert Wines. So just to give you a little bit of a background on how we started and everything. So the original farm, Lomera, was owned by Anthonij Rupert himself. He was the winemaker, and after his tragic passing in the early 2000s, the farm was taken over by Mr. Johan Rupert. And of course, being Mr. Johan Rupert, the businessman he is, he's changed the Lomera from one farm into having 5 farms now. Wow. And of course, naming it Anthonij Rupert Wines in memory of his brother.
Yeah.
So within that, we've got a different couple of different wines in the portfolio. So looking at the Protea, which we all know, there's lovely bottles with a pattern on it.
Yeah, everyone knows that.
Exactly. And then moving up from that to the Terra del Capo, which is our Italian-inspired wines. And then the Cape of Good Hope range, which is more heritage-focused on older bush vines and things like that.
Yeah.
And then the Lomera, which is our Method Cup Classic bubbles. Lovely. And then, of course, working all your way up to the Anthonij Rupert range, of which the Optima is the stepping stone within that range.
Very exciting. That's fantastic. Guys, we have an incredible night in store for you. I want to make sure that everyone is ready for becoming a little bit of a master chef. I can see everyone on their screens. They are getting ready. Their bottles of wine are being opened. I'm pretty sure that we've probably said make sure that that Sauvignon Blanc as well as the bubbly has been put on ice, nice and crisp, and possibly open up the Optima, give it a bit of a breathe. Eh?
You should, definitely.
Good stuff. All right, so in your boxes, you'll probably find a few 3 different boxes. Within that, there are all the components that we're going to teach you how to make 3 canapes, which we're going to pair with each of these beautiful wines as well. So while we do that, I want you guys to get your kitchen set up. We are going to be doing a little bit of frying, so make sure that you've got a pan ready. We can pop that onto a stove. We don't want to get it too hot or anything now. We are only just going to be toasting a little croissant, but just get everything ready, place it all out into the different canapes. And while we do that, what better way to start off an evening than to pop a bottle of bubbles?
I do agree, definitely.
All right, so this is probably what this is the Lomera, and obviously Lomera has got quite a history within the Anthonij Rupert farm, right?
Of course, yeah. As mentioned, Lomera was the original farm.
The original farm, yeah.
And it was given to one of the French settlers back in the day, actually, Jean Roy.
Okay.
And from there, also the logo on there, and people might think it says Johan Rupert, but it stands for Jean Roy.
Okay.
Yes. So, as mentioned, the farm itself was called Lomera. And thereafter, Mr. Rupert took over and named the business Anthonij Rupert Wines. But we still definitely decided to keep the brand itself and the heritage where we're from, Lomera, the name. That is still the name of the farm.
Yeah, exactly. And where is the farm situated?
So we're situated in just before Franschhoek.
Yeah.
So on the what we call Simondium Road, on your way to Franschhoek from Paul's side, on your right-hand side. And the first entrance, of course, will be the well-known car museum, the automotive museum we have. And then thereafter, you have the entrance of Anthonij Rupert Wines.
Okay, all right. Is that where you're based?
That's where I'm based, yes.
Go find this man.
100%.
Okay, so everybody, we're going to be opening up our bottle of bubbles first. If you haven't done it already, I'm pretty sure that Vernon is going to show you the correct way to open a bottle of bubbly, and don't fire off that cork into any of your friends' faces. Hold down as he's doing. Obviously, maybe you can run through this.
100%. As mentioned, hold down. We all like the sound of the pop.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about the quality of the wine and the best experience wine-wise, then the best way to do is slowly. So
There we go.
keep your thumb on the top and then open up the wire head. And it's usually easy. A lot of us take off the wire head, but during that split second, you have the option of it popping.
Yes.
But it's also better for grip when you keep it on. And as you twist it, the bottle at the bottom, you'll feel it coming out. Oof, and just a soft release.
There we go. Look, if there is a celebration, no one's going to throw their hands up in the air with you. You pop it, but it's, what is it called in French? It's like the angel's kiss or something.
That's
like
right.
that.
Yeah, the little bit that spills.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. All right, good stuff. So this is from what I understand, it's a Pinot Noir Chardonnay.
100%. Sorry, yes. So the Lombard Brut Classic, the Rosé, is of course the classic Chardonnay Pinot, or in this case Pinot Noir Chardonnay.
So because the Pinot Noir is
dominant.
Is dominant.
Definitely.
Okay.
So what we do is we do a whole bunch press it, and thereafter it will be put into bottle in exactly the ratio we need it. So usually it's around 60-40 Pinot Noir Chardonnay.
Okay.
And with little components of it being a touch of oak, a small barrel here and there to add complexity.
Yes.
But of course, the main thing about MCC is the bottle fermentation.
100%.
So all of the focus goes into that and how we prepare the base wine for it to go into the bottle.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Good stuff. So obviously we're gonna pour it, and we'll see these. From what I understand, also some really nice fine mousse as well.
Definitely.
There we go. So everybody, crack open your bottle of bubbly. It's time to celebrate with Anthonij Rupert and Laurent. Really lovely. Look at these beautiful wine glasses. I mean, these champagne flutes. So there's been lots of discussion around what one should drink, bubbly, MCC, champagne, and I don't know. For me, this looks absolutely amazing.
It does. And that's also the reason why I pour it with a little bit of a splash, because a lot of people, there's also the argument of how MCC should be poured.
Yeah.
Whether it's softly down the side or with a bit of a splash. In regards with this, I do a little bit of a splash because of the glass shape. It really focuses all the flavor to your nose.
Yeah.
And when you do a little bit of a splash, you just release that initial CO2, and that will have the flavor more settled and not so exposed in your face.
Yeah, you can totally understand that. I mean, it's often when you do have a very thin flute that's very narrow, and you stick your nose to it, you just get that real punch of CO2,
exactly,
which you actually want to really have a good whiff of the actual wine. So I love these glasses, and there's absolutely no in my mind, there's no issue even drinking a little bit of bubbly in a glass like that.
I sometimes prefer that also. It opens up all the flavors, and as I say, it just releases most of the CO2.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get that kind of a burny sensation on your nose because of the CO2, and that just gives a little bit more air.
Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
And welcome to everyone else as well. Just make sure I can see everyone busting around in their kitchen really, really nicely. Keep your cameras on. We love to interact with you as well. So please do ask any questions that you'd like. Any questions about food, you can ask me. Vernon obviously is the absolute guru when it comes to the wine. So please ask any questions if you'd like. We're there to answer. We do have a screen here which will pop up your questions, and we'll answer them for you as well. So, it's delightful. It really is.
Love the flavors. There's a lot of fruit and complexity, a little bit of brioche, and just what you get in it is the perfect balance of acidity, fruit, and structure.
Yeah.
And it spends about, it does spend 2 years on the lees in the bottle. So after the initial fermentation in the bottle, it needs to spend time on the lees for it to get more complex. And there's also a fine line in between when you take it off or when you, what we call disgorge, and put the proper cork in it.
For sure.
And with that, you get to a perfect balance where you feel you've got texture, you still have fruit, and everything's just in balance.
Absolutely. And that beautiful salmon pink, that's obviously from the skins of the Pinot Noir.
Skins of the Pinot Noir. And to be bluntly honest, sometimes you end up where you have to what we call
Tone
color.
it down.
Oh, yeah,
Color.
color.
Yeah.
So we rather start at a lighter stage.
Yes.
We have the option of coloring it in a bit.
And you would
with
use
Pinot Noir.
Yeah. So you'd use actually full on Pinot Noir
100%.
just to add it
Definitely.
in
So
there. Okay.
just a touch to get it to the, let's call it pinkish level.
Yeah,
you need it.
exactly.
Yes.
And it's interesting though, like over the years, you know, pink rosés were very pink. You know, they were almost like candy floss color.
Exactly.
And I think that over the last couple of years, you will see a trend of these rosés that are becoming a lot more of that sort of Provençal, French, salmon, light pink.
Yes.
And this is
So
what we've got here.
if you look at one of our brands, we also have called the genre rosé.
Yeah.
The whole aim is to have that kind of we call it onion skin or copper.
Yes,
You know, that kind
exactly.
of color.
Yeah.
You tend to have a perception where the pinker it gets, the sweeter it gets, and you know
I think that's probably it. Eh?
it must be it.
Yeah.
I think back in the day that was it. You got the pink wine, which was sweet,
Yes.
and and usually lower priced.
Yeah.
But nothing against the color of the wine. I think it's just the perception some people get.
Yeah.
And moving into the more kind of a bronzy copper salmon color.
Yeah.
Also kind of indicates for us a higher quality.
Amazing. All right, guys. So I hope that you enjoyed that as a bit of an aperitif. And what better way to add to that aperitif time than to make a beautiful canapé? So in France, often when you drink champagne, you often eat it with something very buttery, something almost like a foie gras, and there's absolutely no reason to add a little bit of sweetness to it as well. So what we've got is something very interesting. We've got a little croissant, and what we're going to do is we're going to toast this croissant. So as I mentioned to you guys before, we've got our pan. Make sure that you've got that on the stove, and we're just going to heat it up to a medium heat. You don't want to get it too hot, but you do also want to create a little bit of a nice golden color. So we're going to take our croissant, and if you all can follow me over here, mine's making a hell of a noise here. Okay, I'm going to just cut the top off 3/4 of it there. You can just zoom in nicely. I'm just going to do it like that, just so you've got a nice flat base. If you want to cut the bottom off and make a little bit, you can almost even do it in two. There's really no real rules about this, but I'm going to make almost like it was a little slice of bread croissant, just like that. Obviously, there is quite a lot of butter in a croissant anyway, so there might not be a massive need for butter in your pan, but in my mind, the more better the butter. Butter the better. Okay, so we're going to pop this into the pan, a little bit of your butter in that tub, just like that. Not too much. We don't want it to be swimming in oil and butter. We're just going to pop that into the pan. It's quite hot. There we go. So just melt your butter in there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to place my bit of croissant right in the middle. There we go. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a toast. So if everyone's following, they've got their croissant in the pan, giving it a nice toast. Make sure you don't burn it. All you want to do is that beautiful toasting. So keep an eye on it. Make sure that you've got just a little bit of color on it. Push it down if you need to. I'm going to flip mine over already because my pan's quite hot. But you'll see just like that in the pan that it's got a nice toasted color onto it. Perfect. Mine's done. I don't want to overdo mine. There we go. You'll see also in your little boards, you've got these nice presentation boards that have been given to you. That's what we're going to place our canapes onto. And that's what we're going to take pictures and send that to social media and make sure that everyone knows out there what an incredible time you're having and what an incredible chef you are becoming as well. So we've got our croissant, and now we've got different components that we're going to make up our croissant, all very much based around the flavors of the MCC. So we tasted it. We picked up a few flavors. The flavors that we picked up really were some buttery notes, croissant, some strawberry sort of red currant flavors, red currant coulis, some nice sort of creaminess. We've got some whipped camembert, a little bit of lemon zest, and some strawberry, all coming together in one. So we'll see how it all works together, but we're going to take it step by step, and we're going to teach you how to do it. So I'm sure everyone's croissants are nicely toasted. What we're going to do is we're going to take the first component with this, which is our whipped camembert cheese. This stuff you can find in Pick n Pay in a jar, And if you can't find it, you literally get some very ripe camembert and you whisk it up and that'll be it. So in this little piping bag, as you see here, is your whipped camembert. It's just a soft center of camembert. It's got a lovely creaminess to it. So what I'm going to do, if you can follow me here, is I'm going to start piping a few little nice dollops, like that, around this croissant. Beautiful, fresh creaminess of the camembert. Use the whole one. Get some nice bits on there. There we are. Lovely. Just some nice dollops of that. And now what we're going to do is, as I said, we're going to start building it. And this is a really nice red currant compote, jam, coulis, whatever you want to call it. It's basically red fruits, some red currants that you can buy frozen. All you do is you pop that into a pot with a little bit of sugar, squeeze the lemon juice, and you cook it down into a nice bit of a drizzle, really. So I'm also just going to place some dollops around that as well. It's got a nice contrast of colors. You've got the white, you've got the red. There we go. If you want to do some drizzles, you can too. This is it. It's coming together nicely. See, that's mine there. I hope everyone's is looking pretty good too. Right. And we're building flavors, we're building textures. And now what we've got in this, you'll see these kind of dried little things. And you're like, what the hell is that? Take a smell of that. Oh, strawberries. Literally dehydrated strawberries. They're all kind of chewy and crunchy. So what I want you to do is place those on your board. And we're just going to take a knife and we're going to cut these up into small little slivers. So just cut them up with a knife into small little bite-sized pieces. And we're just going to place that around our croissant. And this really is just going to kind of bring out the strawberry notes of the Lourmarin Rosé. I'm going to place that around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you like. Just gives it a bit of texture as well. You know, when you're making food and you're talking about flavors, it's also really important to do textures, contrasting textures, very, very important. Okay. And then the last but not least is something that I believe strongly in, is the zest rather than the juice. Because you end up with this really floral notes with something that you don't normally like. You don't want the sourness of a lemon or a lime. You want to have the floral notes. You want to get that really fresh flavor out of. So you're going to get a grater. Doesn't matter what grater. If you've got a big box grater, use the fine side, but a finer grater is better. And we're going to place it over and we're going to give this a little bit of a zest of that lemon. And that's just going to bring a little bit of liveliness to this. And it's also going to bring out some pretty good notes in the MCC as well. So that's going to go onto our board. That's mine. But I want to see what you guys have been doing at home. I can see that you guys are still rushing around. There's a few things going on. Look at that. Amazing. The zesting, very, very good. It's lovely to see what everyone's doing at home. There's some really, real good champions there. I can see it's awesome. All right. So I'm going to hand this over to Vernon, who's going to taste this. What I want you guys to do is pour yourself another nice glass of the Lourmarin Rosé and take a nice big swill. And it's always interesting as you drink a glass of bubbly, how it kind of changes from the beginning to the end when the bubbles have settled down quite nicely.
Definitely. And as you leave it in the glass, it also evolves.
Yeah.
It just shows you different sides of it, you know, different dimensions of what is in the bottle.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. So take a good sip and now have a bit of a bite of your canapé. Vernon, you must go away, my friend. You need to test it out. Tell me what it's like. But we really have kind of thought about a few things. And I think when it comes to wine pairing, it's lovely to kind of get things that complement the wine. And I feel like this would probably work because it's got the buttery notes of the croissant, a little bit of brioche notes, a bit of yeastiness, which is often found in a MCC because of that yeasted fermentation.
Definitely. Perfect. Everything you described, as you described it, I was imagining the wine in the glass as well.
Yeah.
And you know that last lemon zest you put on, it just complements the the pure acidity of the wine as well.
Interesting.
It's as if it comes together
Yeah.
on the palate.
Yeah.
Perfect balance, and also the acid just it kind of pulls the flavor of this through to the end as well.
Fantastic.
Amazing.
Really good. Yeah. So
Really
I
good.
think that also what's quite nice is like that kind of creaminess of the Camembert.
Yes.
Because there is a balanced acidity with this, and I think it's quite nice that it kind of just cuts through that. This acidity cuts through a little bit of the creaminess. Thank you. I'm a massive fan of this, by the way. It really, really is good.
Empty glass.
Thank you. So guys, please show us what you are doing in your kitchens. Please do take some pictures. You know, if you do take pictures, you do stand a chance of winning three lucky winners will stand a chance of winning 300 rands worth of smart shopper points. Very, very important to use the hashtag PNP Wine Club and use the hashtag Anthonij Rupert. It is on your screen over there, Anthonij Rupert and PNP Wine Club. Please post to social media, and you do have the chance of winning 300 rands worth of smart shopper points. That being said, as well, we would also love to hear from you. Please do ask any questions that you want to in the chat box. Type us a little message, anything about the wine, anything about the food, and we will obviously help. But this is a great way to start the evening. Perfect. And a nice little aperitif for everybody too. I hope everyone's enjoying that as well. And yeah, we've got some good things to come through. So I hope everyone enjoyed that. I'm going to move this over here. Do take your photos, do post, and let's see what you guys are doing on. We're going to move over to the second wine of the evening, a wine that the bottle, everybody knows. It's become one of those South African staples, not only in the restaurants, but in people's homes as well. Beautiful bottle. It's the Protea Sauvignon Blanc.
Exactly. So thank you. As mentioned, I think this is like the signature of the wine itself.
Yeah.
Apart from the fact that the wine's amazing and very, very, very good quality for money. This is the Protea Sauvignon Blanc.
Yep.
And most of the grapes are from our Darling farm on the West Coast side. And we were talking before the show, and as I explained to you, sometimes when it's closer to the coast and you get kind of cooler nights, you have this preservation of parasines in the wine.
Yeah. And
especially good for Sauvignon Blanc.
Yes.
And that kind of gives you that typical Sauvignon Blanc freshness, which I really find in the Protea Sauvignon Blanc 2023. Yeah. So just to explain about the bottle and the whole idea.
Yes.
The whole idea behind the Protea range is not just for it to look nice on the shelf. The whole idea is what we call upcycling. So from the start, we have a little tear off plastic, and then the whole bottle, when you're finished with it, we want you to not recycle, but upcycle.
Yes.
So use it as it is. So as you can see, the top, it's got a nice little, what we call a T-top cork.
Yeah.
Easy to open, easy to close back up. I never close it. It's usually empty by then. So
absolutely.
But close it up. And these labels, they really peel off very easy without any sticky residue. There's no need for you to.
You know, I actually had a question, and I was going to ask that. I was like, you've got such a beautiful bottle, but then there's also a little bit of a sticker on top. But that is a perfect example of why. Because you literally can peel it off after you finish.
It literally peels off. I can kind of just, when I do that, look at it, no tearing, nothing. Just peels off. And with no sticky residue at all.
It's amazing.
And that's the whole idea, is that we want you to use the bottle as is, whether it's for water bottles in your fridge, balsamic vinegar, oils, and as we are living in South Africa, candle holders.
Yes,
the load shedding.
Exactly. Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's great. And also, I also didn't realize that, but that's about the cork as well. So I mean, you've got this cork that you can use to put back in.
Exactly.
With a normal cork, it doesn't really work.
It's
quite nice.
Yes,
it's troublesome.
Yeah, and so as I said, very easy with a T-top. Just press it in, goes in your fridge.
Great stuff.
Very easy.
Good. Very, very nice. Cool. So we've got our Sauvignon Blanc here, and you were explaining obviously that the grapes come from two regions, obviously from farms that are owned by Anthonij Rupert.
That's right.
Yeah.
So as mentioned in the beginning, so we own 5 farms.
Yes.
All of them in different growing regions.
Yeah.
And with that comes different flavor components because of where the grapes are from.
Yes.
Excuse me. So With that being said, you can have a Sauvignon Blanc from the West Coast side,
Yeah.
and you have a Sauvignon Blanc from Franschhoek side,
Yeah.
and it will taste different.
Yeah.
Facts, it will taste different.
100%.
And then we combine those. It's still Sauvignon Blanc, and it's none of the grapes are brought in. It's all on our premises, the different farms we own.
Yes.
And everything's brought into the same farm, which is in Franschhoek, the Longeral farm.
Yeah.
And everything's produced there. And
Okay.
then Mark van Buren, who's the white winemaker, he will then choose different components and different things to put it all together to present you with this wonderful Sauvignon Blanc. And as I said, it's still blending where you think like, I put
Yeah.
different things together, but at the end of the day, it's Sauvignon Blanc from different blocks that
Yeah.
taste different. And with that, you got to build the perfect.
I love that.
Sauvignon.
Exactly. And that's something that I've really learned over the last couple of years, that when they do say, you know, it is a Sauvignon Blanc, you don't think of it being a blended Sauvignon Blanc, but it's very, very true. I mean, you get very good characteristics from a wine that's inland versus on the coast, different characteristics, and you need to blend them, because if you had something that was only on the coast, it would be a little bit too green. And if you had something maybe that was a little bit too in the inland and it was a little bit hotter, it might just be a little bit kind of too ripe and a little bit kind of,
Yes.
I don't know what, like too like stewed fruit.
It might be. So then you
But
form
different characteristics too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And not to say that if you've got a single vineyard that it's bad.
Sure.
It's just when you have a lot of different building blocks, as I will explain with the Optima,
Yeah.
there's so much more options of working
Yes.
with. You know, there's a lot of merit and a lot of good things about single vineyards.
Yeah.
But also, if you have the nice option of combining everything,
Yeah.
it's like building a big puzzle.
For sure. And you
Little
balance
pieces.
things out.
Exactly.
Interesting. All right, cool, guys. We're going to be heading on to our second canapé. So pour yourself a little bit of the beautiful Sauvignon Blanc. And I must say that when I do taste this, it is a very well-balanced Sauvignon.
Exactly.
It's got freshness. It's got that slight green, but it's also it's fruit. There's some beautiful fruit in there.
Abundance of fruit. And
Yeah.
you want that greenness in the background. And I think that's what Mark does brilliantly. You get that hint of greenness that tells you it's Sauvignon Blanc. And then you get a lot of citrus and passion fruit coming through.
Yeah.
And then it ends with this crisp acidity, which I love.
Beautiful.
And that combination is just total balance. And as I said, personally, I struggle sometimes with Sauvignon Blanc because of the greenness.
Yeah.
But this is amazing. It's just so well balanced.
Very, very well made. All right, guys, we're getting back into the kitchen and we're going to be making the second canapé. Very interesting. We've got some few nice little components. We are also going to be using our pans again. So I hope no one's washed this. Don't need to wipe it out. We're going to also be doing a little bit of frying in there. So it'll be exactly right. I want you to turn on your gas or your induction or whatever you might have in there and pop that on. We're going to be frying a little bit of halloumi cheese, something which is really, really great. I absolutely love this. There's some that you can literally even fry this stuff. It is unbelievable. I like it by itself, but I do really like it when it's fried. So what you're going to do is you're going to take it out the packet, give it a bit of a wipe. It's often a little bit of water residue on it. So just to dry it off a little bit and place a little bit of oil into a pan. All right. And while that heats up, I'm going to explain to you about a few of the other components which we're going to use. So we've got these beautiful wraps. There's also no reason why we can't actually give this a little bit of a fry and give it a little bit of a toasting as well. So get that ready. We've got a little bit of apricot preserve. We've got a little bit of some of this, which is called a grapefruit aioli, which is quite cool. We've got a little bit of a tub over here, which is a pickled red onion. And yeah, that's it, I think, for that one. So we've got grilled halloumi, little soft tail taco. It's got some grapefruit aioli, some apricot preserve, and some of this as well. So your pan should be quite hot by now. Mine is good. I'm just going to place this in. You can hear it fry off. And just make sure the same thing, that you're not overcooking it, but you're just giving it a little bit of some color on it as well. And those are going to go into our little soft shell tacos. So just make sure you keep turning it on all sides. Get a little bit of color. You don't want to overcook it. You don't want it to melt into the pan, but you literally are just giving it a little bit of a color. You can see my pan is always very hot and I work very quickly here. There we go. Perfect. You got 3 of those. If you want to toast your tacos, no reason why you can't. Pop that in. Give it a little bit of a toasting as well. You can even place that inside your oven if you want to. If you want to keep it quite nice and supple, you can do that too. But I'm just going to give mine a little bit of a toasting in the pan with using the residual heat of that. There we go. Cool. Mine's done. Very, very quick. I also don't want to have this going on in the background. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to go slowly on this one, just to make sure that everyone follows. If I am going too fast, tell me. I can slow it down for you. Not a problem. All right. So we've got our halloumi cheese. Halloumi cheese is great because it's got a little bit of like some saltiness and it gives it quite a bit of texture. And yeah, I think it's all about just building a taco. You can use anything in a taco. Like it's one of those kind of blank canvases that you can use absolutely anything to. So you've got your little taco thing over here. These are just little wraps that you can buy at Pick and Pay. You'll find them in the bakery section. I use them for everything. You can deep fry them and make crispy chips like nachos. You can make wraps. You can do little round things with them, but I just basically use them for anything like that. So I'm going to place my halloumi, probably one or two, maybe two, onto my little taco like that. There we go. Perfect, right in the middle. So if everyone can just follow, I've got my wrap. It's toasted. I've got a little bit of the halloumi in the middle. And now we also, same thing, we're going to just start building this bit by bit by bit. This is quite a nice little additive. It is some apricot jam preserve. And all we've done is we've got dried apricots. You rehydrate them. You put them into a pan with a little bit of water. We've used a little bit of white wine. And we have just cooked that down into like a little bit of an apricot paste, basically. And this is going to give the dish a little bit of a zestiness. It's quite nice and tart, but it's also quite nice and sweet. And it works quite well, almost like a preserve that you would have cheese and a preserve. Okay. There we go. So one or two little blobs around there. You've toasted your tacos. You've toasted a little bit of your halloumi cheese. It's got a nice sort of, yeah, it's almost like a bit of a chewy cheese. I'm going to cut it a little bit so you can taste that. And it's amazing what difference it makes when you have a little bit of it's nice, isn't it?
Brilliant.
It's good. Have a little taste. And while you're cooking, make sure that you also have a little taste of the Sauvignon Blanc again. Swirl it around. That Protea range really has become a bit of a staple in South Africans' households. It's one of those wines that you can drink it whenever, and it's not only it's Sauvignon Blancs. There's a Chenin.
Exactly.
What other reds do you have?
Well, within the whites only, we've got Chenin, we've got Chardonnay, and we've got the Pinot Grigio.
And Pinot Grigio is an interesting one. Hey,
Yeah.
people don't really know too much about Pinot Grigio,
No,
but it's a great summer wine.
Get a lot of questions about the Pinot Grigio.
Yeah.
Of course, we started with that in our Terra del Capo range.
Yes.
As I mentioned, the Italian-inspired range.
Yeah.
And literally, Pinot Grigio is, if you go to Italy, you ask them for any wine, just dry white.
Yes.
In any restaurant, it will be Pinot Grigio.
Really?
Most of the time.
Yeah.
And it's what I love about that. It's for me a combination of that hints of lemongrass greenness you get from Sauvignon.
Yeah.
Combined with that kind of abundance of fruit from Chenin Blanc.
Yes.
And it's also it's a light drinking wine. It's what we call a breakfast wine. You understand what I'm saying? So, with that, and then in the red, we've got the Shiraz, the Cab Sav, and the Merlot.
Okay.
Yes. So all of them. What I do with the Protea range is I age them on French oak staves.
Okay.
The red wines.
Yeah.
And then that will be for about 12 months.
Yeah.
And when I do make them in the cellar, I try and work with them as soft as possible.
Sure.
More on the elegant side. So I want to preserve that kind of a fresh, lively red fruit.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to put in the bottle. Yeah. Adding a bit of structure and depth and toastiness with the French oak.
Yeah.
Of course. But at the end of the day, the whole idea with Protea is what we call a lifestyle range.
Yeah.
It should be accessible on the palate and enjoyable.
And that's what it is.
And 100%. 100%.
Exactly. No, it is lovely, honestly. And I've seen it, and people often, it's quite interesting when you do have a brand per se as Anthonij Rupert, and there's sub brands and subcategories, and there's a lot of people actually who didn't realize that it was actually Anthony Rupert.
Yes.
Which is fine, but it's nice that it lives by itself as a brand.
I think that's the whole idea with the whole company is we're producing brands that can stand up by themselves without having the bigger brand name behind it.
Yeah.
Of course, that's the whole idea. But at the end of the day, we would like you to buy Protea because of the quality of the wine.
Yes.
And I think it really delivers.
It certainly does. All right. And talking about delivering, I hope you guys have caught up. You got your little toasted taco there. I hope everyone has fried off their cheese nicely. Let's place it in the middle. We've already placed down some of our apricot preserve, and now we're going to finish it off with a few different elements. So what we've got here as well is we've got a little bit of, you'll be surprised, it's called grapefruit aioli. Sounds very fancy, but basically it's a grapefruit mayonnaise. All right. But what we've done is we've just taken some grapefruit juice, we've reduced it ever so slightly, and we've made it with a little bit of mayonnaise. All right. And that's just going to give the taco a little bit of looseness. It's going to break through a little bit of the sweetness and tartness of the apricot, and it's just going to give it a little bit of liveliness. All right. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this, and this is very, very simple, and we use this a lot in our cooking. We use it. It's called a little pickled red onion. Super easy. You literally, it's a pickle, very light pickle. You always use the same pickle generally. It's sugar, it's a little bit of vinegar, a little bit of water. You can add some white wine to it as well, and it just preserves things as well. So you can take a red onion, if you've got a red onion that you never ever going to really use again, you slice it up, you add a bit of vinegar, a little bit of sugar, and as I said, some white wine possibly, and you can keep this in a jar in your fridge or even out of your fridge for up to probably 1 month, and you can use it on salads, you can use it on whatever you want to. It just gives things a little bit of a liveliness and a crunch. So we're going to add that to the top of our taco, and I really love it. It's got a bit of sweetness, it's got some crunch still, a little bit of zestiness, and I love that it gives these canapes a little bit of life. All right, so we've got that laid out there, and when serving canapes and serving tacos, there's lots of different ways to do it. You can roll them up, you can put pegs in it if you really wanted, you can put skewers in it. But what I like to do is I like to serve mine like this, because you actually end up seeing exactly what it is. So do take a photo. You have to take photos. You have to post them to social media, any platform that you want to, using the hashtags PNP Wine Club and the hashtag Anthony Rupert. We do want to see what you guys are doing, and we'd love to give you also 300 Rands worth of Smart Shopper points. So show me what you're doing. This is what my one looks like. Your one probably looks slightly different if you wanted it to be, but that is exactly what we do. And it's all about the taste, and it's all about sometimes presentation, but it's all about basically the food pairing. So I'm going to hand this over to Vernon. Basically what you do is you can just hold it up in your hand, pinch it together like that, and pop it into your mouth. What better way? Okay. Take a good sip, as I said before. Give your Sauvignon Blanc a nice swirl around. Let it coat the inside of your mouth. Beautiful fresh flavors. Slightly got its greenness, got its freshness, but it's also got that beautiful ripe fruit into it as well.
I love that crunch.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
You need to, as I said, we spoke about textures as well. When you guys are cooking at home, doesn't matter if it's a plate of food, or if it's a canapé, or it's a side dish, or it's a mini bowl, you need to think about textures, and you need to make sure that there are contrasting textures in your food. Because if you're making something that's soft, you just got that same plain softness, and you don't have that contrast of a crunch or something, and it becomes quite boring. So important note to remember, and that's, I think, what that crunch of the pickled red onion does.
100%. I must agree with you. And it's strange talking about that, because it's exactly the way we think about it in wine.
Yes.
And only this afternoon, myself and my assistant were blending, looking at certain options for the Cape of Good Hope Syrah.
Yeah.
And you would go through things and you go, beautiful fruit, everything's fine, but when I need texture.
Yeah.
And even it's a liquid.
Exactly.
But I get texture from something with a little bit more tannin or a little bit more structure, boldness. You got to work that in, because that completes the whole feeling on the palate.
Yeah.
It's not just the taste.
I know. I talk about it quite often with winemakers, how similar winemaking is to cooking and to being a chef, because it is all about balancing flavors. It's all about getting those things right. And it's interesting that you talk about texture in wine, because
Definitely.
it is important. It really
Yes.
is. And I can imagine often what you must think when you taste something, you're like, that feels a little bit shallow almost. I need
Yes.
to add something to give it a little bit more either depth or body, or give it a little bit of, you know?
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
strange how as we're busy blending up, you go, I know that one feels like a donut, you know, there's a hole in the middle. You
Yeah.
need to fill that up
Yeah.
with something.
Yeah.
And like I say, whether it's cabs have or cabs have or cabs have, some other cabs have will fill up that hole in the middle.
That's so interesting. That really is interesting. I hope that you guys enjoyed the second pairing that we've done. Little taco, grilled halloumi, some grapefruit aioli, and some nice little apricot and some nice pickled red onion as well. I hope that you enjoyed that. Tell us how the pairing went. We'd love to find out how that was and if you enjoyed that. But for me, it kind of worked. It really is really good. And can we get a recording of this live stream? Absolutely. We can certainly do that. You can go onto a YouTube channel, the Pick and Pay Winemakers Table, and this is posted there right tomorrow. If you do forget anything, or you want to watch it again, or you want to share it with friends, it is on the Pick and Pay YouTube channel, which gets uploaded as well. All right, cool. That was great. I really, really enjoyed that wine. As I said,
that was also good.
and you enjoyed that.
Brilliant.
Perfect. All right, so we're going to remove this, and we're going to move on to our final wine. Obviously, a wine that's very close to your heart, something that you've worked on for many, many years, and something that's very, very interesting. It is the Optima, which is it is the Optima.
So as mentioned, the Optima is my baby. It's a brilliant wine, style wise. Because of that, and you were asking me before we started about the whole idea behind the wine and what my aim is in regards with taste and structure and texture. So with the Optima, essentially it's a Bordeaux based blend. So it's Cab Sav, Cab Franc, and Merlot. What might be Cab Franc, Cab Sav, and Merlot, or it might be Merlot, Cab Sav, Cab Franc.
Okay, so it's difference.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The whole idea with Optima is not to put down something according to recipe. Every single vintage differs, and every single vintage will change. And if some years the Merlot are not up to the same quality as, for example, the Cab Sav, I might make Cab Sav dominant.
Yeah.
But in the general idea, it's the three parts of Cab Sav, Cab Franc, and Merlot. And with that being said, that's usually more bigger, bolder wine, and it's definitely what you get in the Optima.
Yeah.
We talked about ageability. There's easy 15 to 20 years on this wine, putting it down in proper conditions.
Incredible.
But if you do taste it, again, it's all about the balance. There's that deep tannin structure, that, you know, that boldness, but also there's that red fruit driven perfume on the front of the palate, which I love.
Yeah.
So I age each and every single component separately for 2 years in the barrel. And then we keep down the bottle for you as consumer another 2 years.
That's incredible. So you actually store the bottle and bottle age it before it's released.
That's right.
Okay, so that's interesting. So what you guys have here is the 2020, and that bottle has been aged in barrels for 2 years.
That's right.
And then a further 2 years in bottle.
In bottle. That's right.
Incredible.
So again, as I said, there's a combination of, there's a lot of things in that makes a certain wine evolve, and where it's born and how it starts. I mean, everything starts from the vineyard.
Yeah.
And as mentioned, we get these grapes also from our West Coast side, from the Darling Farm.
Yeah.
And then we also have a big part of it coming from Lomaral.
Okay. And so are the wines, are the grapes, specific grapes, to say, for instance, the Merlot, does that come from a specific region, or do you?
No, it's the same. It's those three. It's the Merlot, Cab Sav, Cab Franc.
Yes.
And then parts of that will come from Darling side.
Yeah.
And then other parts of it from Franche.
From Franche. Okay.
And the Franche ones has got a more darker, you know, deeper kind of inky feeling to it.
Yes.
Where the stuff from Rudderus, it's got depth, it's got structure, but it's more red fruit driven.
Okay.
And that combination kind of brings me to where I want Optima to be.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of a perfect balance of a bit of arrogance, a bit of big-bodied fullness,
Yes.
but still that kind of perfume red fruit component that I need.
Absolutely. No, I mean it's done incredible well. It's something that, everyone, I don't know, it's a wine. So we went, actually we had a massive European conference that we did a couple of years back, and the head of the conference actually said to me, I said, "Did you find any wines that you like?" And he said to me, "The one wine that absolutely fell in love with in South Africa was this Optima."
It's good to hear that.
Yeah, and he brought it back, and so he's the one who basically takes wines over from, well, try to bring European wines to South Africa, but
Yes.
also in vice versa, or from an export perspective. And he absolutely loved this.
Really, really enjoy this one.
Okay, good stuff. All right, so it's interesting that we were talking earlier about vintages, and obviously every single vintage changes due to climatic conditions. It changes because the grapes might be different, or just have faced different climatic conditions. And Vernon was saying, basically, I asked him, in terms of different vintages, where would you position the 2020? And you told the story about Mr. Rupert.
Yeah, Mr. Rupert's, he mentioned that the 2020 was one of the better vintages of Optima we've released.
Incredible.
His words were like, I think you've hit the spot there.
Amazing.
So yeah, that's a good feeling. If you've been working with something for 12 years, and you get to the point where the owner is not only satisfied, but really happy about it.
Incredible. Yeah, and it does change every year. And there's obviously different climatic conditions. There's wind, there's rain, there's heat, and it does change every time. But obviously, when you have a brand that has been created and a wine that's been created, such as the Optima, which is sort of carried through from when it was actually released.
Released with the 2020.
No. When was the brand of Optima kind of
Optima
started?
was first made by Anthonij Rupert, and I might stand corrected, but it was definitely late 80s.
Okay.
So it was around 86,
Yeah.
87, if I can recall now. And that was the first actually bottle of Optima made by Anthonij Rupert.
Oh, really?
And the whole reason with this is when Mr. Rupert came in and he changed the company to Anthonij Rupert Wines,
Yeah.
he still wanted Optima to be present.
Sure.
And that's why it was never taken away.
I see. Okay, well, that's interesting. Yeah. And so we were also talking about vintages, and I think that you said that one of the best sort of vintages for wine in South Africa was the 2015 vintage,
Definitely,
wasn't it?
Definitely. There's big talk always about the 2015 vintage in South Africa, and there's people that look after our wine industry called Vinpro, and they have a report every single year after harvest. There was quotes by big winemakers that's been in the game for a lot of years that said it's probably one of the best vintages we've had in about 30 years or something.
Incredible.
So with that being said, I also mentioned that 2016 is an amazing vintage.
Yes.
It's just there's a little bit more polished edge.
Yeah.
And there's more elegance, but I think it seems a little bit down from 15 because it's standing in the shadow of 15.
Yeah.
But 15, if a bottle of 2015 red wine, proper bottle of red wine is something to keep.
Yeah, exactly. And as Vernon was saying, that these bottles can keep easily 15 years.
Easily.
Incredible. So, but it's very important to note that it cannot be kept for 15 years on the top of your fridge. You need to make sure that it is at a controlled temperature, so not too much fluctuation is important. And
100%.
Obviously, and temperature-wise, cool, 20 less.
Well, my wine fridge is set to, for red wines, about 12.
12, and you keep but I'm saying that to store a wine.
Store for age. Yes.
Store for age. 12.
Yeah,
12 degrees. Interesting.
It's well, I keep my whites and my reds for aging in the same because you do have whites that you can age as well.
Yes.
But also I feel that keeping it at a lower temperature also slows down certain things happening in the wine, aging wise,
of course,
without getting into it too deeply.
Yeah.
But of course, aging, the whole point that you made is not fluctuation. Your wine won't go bad at being kept at 18 degrees, but you don't want it to be 43 in Worcester and then tomorrow it's 6 degrees in the winter. If you understand what I'm saying. That's something that hurts wine. So you need to have it at a constant temperature.
And where do you think the best things are? Probably just in a cupboard somewhere. Cupboard.
Yeah,
bottom of a cupboard somewhere.
Everyone wants to display the wine that they're aging. But the wines you're going to drink within the next week.
Yeah.
Display
Display them.
Display them.
Yeah, but
Yes.
keep that. And then also, would you store a bottle of wine on its side flat, or would you want to hold it upright?
That's debatable.
Is it debatable?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's like anything in the wine industry,
Yeah.
which glass you use, how you pour,
Yeah.
whatever. Because we've all been taught that you keep a bottle of wine for storage down,
Yeah.
flat on the side,
Yeah.
because you want to keep the cork wet.
Okay.
Now, after years of research, the cork companies have come back and said, it doesn't matter. So, but to be safe, from our understanding
Yeah.
still, is you keep it flat on the side so that the cork is permanently wet.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. I didn't know that. I actually didn't know.
Yeah.
All right. Cool. All right. So beautiful, beautiful wine. What are we picking up here?
So it's a dark cherry, a little bit of plumminess at the back.
Mm.
And there's the hint of what I call cigar box.
Yes.
You know, it's not the tobacco, it's just that
It's a
cigar box when you
box.
open it.
Yes.
Suppose it's the combination of the oak and the tobacco with it.
Yes. A little bit of cocoa.
There's definitely some cocoa in there. And cloves. I pick
Yeah.
up little hints of cloves
Yeah.
at the back.
Yeah.
And with that, I look at wine tasting and especially analyzing it like this, three-dimensional. So if you've got to put it to your nose and
Yeah.
think of it, what's the initial kind of a flavor you get? There's a little bit of red cherry
Yeah.
and licorice in there as well. And
great.
then you go deeper, if I look three-dimensional,
Mm.
you get to the previous stuff we mentioned.
Yeah.
And that's what I love about the Optima. It's the diversity, or not diversity, it's the dimensions you get in it.
Yes.
Every time you come back, you might find something new that you haven't picked up now. But still, that coating you get on the palate is just amazing.
It is amazing. It really is. Absolutely love this. And what better way to end off with our canapes is something slightly sweeter, something also maybe three-dimensional as well. So what you guys have got here is a little tart case. So take that out of the little wrapper. It's been blind baked for you, which basically means that it's been baked and it doesn't rise. So it's a beautiful little tart case. And we've also got a few different components here as well. So we have got some beautiful chocolate ganache, which has been out of your fridge. So hopefully it's not too set. If it is feeling a little bit too hard, just work it through your hands, just kind of make it nice and malleable. We've got some smoked, here we are, some smoked macadamias. Very interesting. I'll tell you a little about this now. And we've also got a little bit of lavender salt as well. So you're talking about three-dimensional. Hopefully this is also going to be quite three-dimensional. Pretty simple ingredients, but it's crazy how things come together. So what we'll do is we've got this little tart case, very simple. We've got our chocolate ganache. And if anyone needs to know how you make a chocolate ganache, also, you'd be surprised how simple things are to do. This is literally chocolate chips, or you can take a slab of Bonville chocolate. You add a little bit of cream. Generally, for a chocolate ganache, you're looking at a ratio of a little bit, something that's a little bit more harder like this. You're probably looking at 2 parts chocolate, 1 part cream. So basically those ratios, and you put them into a pan. You bring your cream up to a boil. You pour it over the chocolate, and you whisk it up into this beautiful silky chocolate ganache. So I'm going to just snip a little bit more off there. And what you're going to do is you're just going to pipe that into your tart case. Pipe it around in a little circle so it covers all of the edges. There we go, round in a circle. And use all of it up. We've got enough to go around here. Here we go. Just pipe it in. If you do need to have there we go, a spoon, just to basically spoon it out, make it nice and round, just like that. Boop. See that? I'm going to put that down there so you can see. There we go. Nice little filled tart case. And now we're going to start adding a few different components. We've got right here, we got our cherry compote. So we've added this also because we've definitely pulled a few of those flavors out, those cherry components out. And what we'll do is we're just going to place that onto the side. It's always nice to be able to see a little bit of each of the ingredients. So we always place things onto the side. And then what we've got here is these macadamia nuts in these things. So basically what we've done is we've smoked a macadamia. and we've actually used cherry wood to smoke this.
Interesting.
We might be taking it to the next level, but literally we decided to use cherry wood because I think that there are some really nice, great cherry notes in here. So what we've done is we've just crushed them. We're going to place that onto the chocolate ganache on the side. And then we're going to finish off with the last component. And this is when I talk about three-dimensional, is we've taken some salt, some cautious salt, cautious salt, and we've added a little bit of lavender to it. Because in my mind, when we gave this a whiff, it did have a little bit of a lavender note to it.
Yeah, it's in the back here.
Yeah. So we thought that would work quite well. So we've taken the lavender, we've put it into salt. It's just basically infused ever so slightly. And we're going to add a few little flakes of that salt. And I love adding a bit of salt to chocolate. When it gets a little bit sweet, it's nice to cut through that as well. So please do take a photo, see what your little chocolate tarts are looking like. And turn that around if you'd like, show you what mine is looking like. But please do take some photos, do post to social media. We are going to announce some winners so shortly, but you might be able to squeeze in there as well using the hashtags P&P Wine Club and hashtag Anthonij Rupert. Vernon,
Perfect.
this is for you.
All right.
A nice little way to end off with one of the most beautiful wines that I've tasted in South Africa, and something that's got a nice sort of creaminess, nice chocolate notes, lavender, berry, fruit-forward flavors.
Salt makes a difference.
It does make a difference. Eh? It cuts through that sweetness of the chocolate as well.
You know, it's strange. Wouldn't recommend doing it with an optimum. But just for interest's sake, take one, pinch of salt there.
Really?
You realize how much it brings out the flavors as well.
Really?
Salt lifts up flavors.
Yeah, it's true.
You know,
It's true.
so
Yeah.
it's amazing how you balance that out. It's not even salty.
Yes.
It becomes almost like acidic with the chocolate.
For
It's
sure.
perfect.
Well, that's good. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed that as well. Tell me, give me some thumbs up. We can see you on your screens. Did you enjoy that last canapé? Amazing. Good stuff, guys. You enjoyed that. So did I. I really did enjoy that. I think that we're extremely lucky not only to be able to taste three of some incredible wines from the Anthonij Rupert portfolio, the L'Ormeran, incredible bottle of bubbles, exactly what you would need on a nice summer's day, any celebration, any time of the day. The Sauvignon Blanc, incredible lifestyle wine that you can drink at any time, as well as obviously the hero here, right here, which is the Optima. And congratulations on this. It really is incredible.
Thank you so much. Appreciate
It
it.
really is. And you guys are not only winners in terms of what you have been given today as well, but you also winners in terms of the fact that you will receive 100 rands worth, 100 rands off when you use this voucher over here as well. This voucher, when you use the code Rupert100 on checkout, this can be used on Pick and Pay online and on Pick and Pay ASAP. Pick and Pay ASAP, make sure that you're spending more than 250 Rand and you'll get this 100 Rand voucher off. And then obviously as a wine club member, you also get access to incredible events like this, as well as also 20% off selected wines every single month. So make sure, I'm pretty sure that you all are Pick and Pay Wine Club members, but if not, please do sign up and make sure that you pass the word, because it is an incredible way to spread the word about easy drinking, making sure that people are exposed to different wines. And that's exactly what we want from a Pick and Pay Wine Club member. We do have some winners, guys. And I think that, Vernon, you're going to read out these winners for the posts. And these guys are going to be getting 300 Rands worth of Smart Shopper points. Who are they?
Okay, so the first up is Claire Beckman.
Congratulations, Claire. 300 Rands worth of Smart Shopper points have been loaded onto your Smart Shopper card.
And now you might have to help me with that second surname, like
Sarah Aitchen.
Aitchen. I would have not said that because I'm van der Hoven, and you struggle with that one. So please.
And Gillian Hill. Congratulations, Gillian Hill. Also 300 Rands worth of Smart Shopper points on their way to you. But as I said, everyone's a winner tonight because we have literally had the most incredible wines. We've been able to spend the evening with you, Vernon.
Perfect.
And been able to understand a little bit more about Anthonij Rupert Wines, the different portfolio that you guys are doing. and the incredible work that you're doing with this Optima and all the reds as well. It's impressive. Honestly, it is really, really impressive.
Well appreciated. And thank you once again for having me over. And it's an amazing experience. And hopefully you'll invite us someday again.
100%. We'd love to have you. We really would love to have you. And thank you very much, everybody who has joined this evening from Joburg, from Cape Town and Johannesburg. I'm glad everyone got their boxes with their incredible wines. Please do spread the word. We've got the next one coming up, which is Warwick next month, and we'd love to see you there as well. Make sure that you sign up very quickly because these things sell out within 2 days. It's unbelievable. And to everyone who joined us at the Pick and Pay Wine and Food Festival as well, thank you very much. There was a great success in Cape Town. The next edition we're having up in Durban. Very lucky you guys are going to be there in Chris Saunders Park in July as well. So thank you very much for that too. And I hope that you enjoyed the evening. Thank you very much to Pick and Pay Online for delivering those boxes. Thank you very much to the Pick and Pay Wine Club for bringing these incredible events to us. And thank you to Anthonij Rupert for joining us today. And thank you for this event.
Thank you so much.
All right. Well, we'll see you next time in the next one. And cheers to everybody. I hope they enjoyed the wine.
Cheers.
Goodbye.
Thank you.